Good morning and welcome to Caretaker's Corner, where we discuss everything that has to do with taking care of your elderly and disabled parents, your disabled spouses, and your adult disabled children. And today we're going to finish up on the last of possible living arrangements for your elderly or disabled. And it's nursing facilities. It's the ever-dreaded, what everybody hates to hear and talk about, nursing facilities. People, when they have to put a family member into a nursing facility, caretakers usually have a lot of guilt over it. They feel like they have let their family members down. They feel like they have failed in every aspect. And the simple fact is, it's not true. There comes a point where your family member will need more care than you are able to give. And that's just a simple fact. And there's no guilt in it. There just comes a point where you can't do it, either due to the fact that you are physically not able to take care of them in the way they need. Like they could be need lifting out of bed. They could have where everything has to be taken care of for them. You have to feed them. You have to bathe them. You have to, if they're incontinent, you have to, change them. You have to take them to the bathroom. Where there comes a point where you literally have to provide for them for every aspect of their life. And that is a point where it just gets overwhelming and you cannot do it. Okay. So don't feel guilty about looking into putting a family member in a nursing home. There comes a point where it is their best care versus you're feeling like you're doing your best. And it comes down to it's what's in their best interest, not what makes you feel better about yourself. I mean, let's just be honest about it. Okay, so once you get past the guilt and you get past the anger that your family member might feel, because not everybody wants to go in a nursing facility. They feel like it's an end-of-life facility. And a lot of nursing facilities are also rehab facilities. So that's an important thing to remember. Just because you're putting them in there doesn't mean they have to stay there. My dad was in a nursing home. Dad was here for 4 years before he passed away. And he was in a nursing facility for a couple of months one year, just rehabbing. He had been in and out of the hospital because it turns out he was retaining a lot of water, a lot of fluid on his body. I mean, apparently like 150, 200 pounds of it. And so once they got all the fluid off, they got some of it off at the hospital. They finished getting it off at the nursing home. And then they also worked with him on walking and lifting and stuff like that. And when he came out, man, he was 1,000% better. So look at it as a positive also. Most of them try and teach your family member how to do things for themselves. They also, like I said, they have the rehabilitation part, which means your family member can go in and if they're having if they've had a stroke, they can help them learn how to use an arm or, the part of the body that may have been impaired by the stroke. There's speech therapy in nursing homes. And then just all around physical therapy. And I mean, they're not bad places. They get a bad rap because when you hear about one, it's usually a horrible situation. Nursing facilities are not all bad. And most people that work in nursing facilities are there because they care for the elderly or the disabled. And it's where their heart is in that work. It takes a special kind of person to work in a nursing facility. So a shout out to all nurses, CNAs, and doctors and medical, because you're all doing an awesome job. And without you, most of us wouldn't be here. So think about that one. So they provide the nice thing about a nursing facility is most nursing facilities, or all of them that I know of, provide for all aspects of your family member's care. So they take care of food, medicine, housing, medical care. All of them I've ever had a family member in took care of laundry. You took care of the extra aspects. If they wanted candy or if they wanted special food, like when my mother-in-law was in there, she was passing away due to lung cancer, so her taste buds weren't working properly. So I had to bring in a lot of food from outside trying to get her to eat because she just couldn't taste a lot of food. So stuff like that, you're responsible for. You're responsible for their clothing, buying their clothing, and like their bathing, body wash and personal care stuff. But the nursing home takes care of bathing them, and they take care of making sure they get 3 meals a day plus snacks, and that they get their medicine every day at the same time, all of their medicine that they're supposed to. If they have to go to a doctor's appointment, most facilities make sure they get to the appointment. Usually they send somebody with them if you can't be there. And they take care of, like I said, rehabilitation. They take care of preparing the food. They have 24-hour care, which is something you can't do. As much as we think we are awesome and we are super people, we cannot take care of anybody 24/7. We didn't even take care of ourselves 24/7. What makes us think we have the ability to take care of another human being 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? I mean, think about it. That's what parents do with small children, but once they reach 18, you can't do that. Actually, most of them, you can't do it once they reach preteen. So it is difficult. And that is why a nursing facility is there for you, because they do. And it's not just one person taking care of them. They have a whole team of people. They have a dietitian. They have therapists. They have CNAs. They have LPNs. They have RNs. They have doctors that come in. All right? They have a whole team of people to take care of your family member. And you think you can do it better than they can? I'm not saying you can't keep up with the information better than they can. I'm just saying a team of people will way outwork one person. So please keep that in mind. Like I said, not all of them have great raps. You need to research the facility you want to put your family member in. You want to make sure they've got a good record, a good history, that they don't have complaints against them. And if they do have complaints, look into what the complaints are. Because it could just be where a lot of elderly have dementia. And so you come in as, talking to your dad or your mom or your family member, and they go, oh, well, they did this to me. Well, you file a complaint, and then you discover they didn't do that. It was just your parents' issue with dementia, I know that has happened at facilities before. I also know that some facilities are not great, and they can be scary and not the best in the world. So, like I said, do your own research on these facilities. Don't just go to one and say, oh, you look good, you're awfully nice at the door. I'll put my family member here. Research multiple places. Go visit the places. Talk to the people. Have them take you on a tour of the facility. I know we had one facility that my father-in-law and mother-in-law were at where it was really tiny rooms, 2 people per room. And then we had one facility where my father-in-law passed away at where it was 2 people per room, but they were huge rooms. And they took very good care of him. And when he passed away, instead of a lot of nursing facilities will hide, make everybody go to their room when they take a body out. Whereas at this one, everybody went and they sent him on his way. And so you got to look at the different ways that people react and how they treat the elderly and how they treat even right through the final care of your family member. Because that is an important process that you're going to go through. And you want as many hands on deck as you can get to help out with that. There are facilities, if your family member suffers from dementia, Alzheimer's, any of that. There are special nursing facilities for that, where they have locked units, where your family member inside the unit can run around, walk around, do whatever they want, within reason, obviously, and live life normally, but the entire unit itself is locked down so they can't walk off and get lost or hurt themselves. And I worked at one point for about 6 months when I was much, much, much younger on an Alzheimer's unit. And it is a totally different dealing than with a regular elderly person that just has, you get older, memory starts to go in certain areas. And that is different than what dementia and Alzheimer's, just full blown is. I mean, we're talking about being able to do your basic tasks every day, but like the major tasks, like going to the bank that you've done a million times and trying to get home, you can't get home, or you may not be able to get to the bank. Forgetting who your family members are, like legitimately not knowing who your family members are. My mother-in-law would tell me stories about how her mother-in-law would call her screaming and yelling because there was a stranger in her house, and that stranger was actually her daughter who lived with her and took care of her. So she could remember to call my mother-in-law, and she could remember what my mother-in-law's name was and all that, whereas she couldn't even remember her own daughter that lived with her. So they have these facilities that they can handle that, and they work within the limits. They allow as much freedom as possible, but they still keep it where they don't get lost or hurt themselves. Now, the one thing is, if your family member requires a lot of special equipment, then they usually will have them go to a hospital for that. So like when my mother-in-law had to have all of her chemotherapy with the lung cancer, the nursing home would have an ambulance take her to the hospital, and then the hospital that would put her in, give her all the chemotherapy, then just, send her back to the nursing home. The nursing home could handle a lot more medical equipment than, say, like we're talking last week about the retirement communities. However, they still have a limit on what most of them are able to do. The other thing you need to remember, like with a retirement community, the cost is almost 100% yours. With a nursing facility, Medicare and Medicaid pay some of it, but not all of it. And, if you're on Medicaid, then it usually does pay all of it, but you're also looking at not as nice of a nursing facility usually. I mean, I hate to put it that way. Or you're looking at, to get them in a nicer facility, they only have so many Medicaid beds available to meet government standards. So you may have to wait on getting that bed. There's also rules that if your family member has to go to the hospital, and they're in the hospital for more than a certain number of days, if they're not in that bed, your person may lose that bed at the facility, and you may have to wait to get them back in. If you take them out, you can only have them out for so long, or they could also lose the bed. Like, we'd take them out to eat and everything, that's not a problem, but if you're taking them on a vacation or something, that may be an issue. I always suggest you call your insurance when it comes to anything to do with medical, and this is no exception. I do not know all of the rules. I just know what I have run into in the past with my dad and my in-laws, and the rules around their care and their payments. So like my in-laws were both on Medicaid, and so my mother-in-law was on Medicaid 100%. She was disabled. And so they paid the facility everything but $40, and she got $40 a month. Now, I don't know what it is now, but she got $40 a month for, in her case, cigarettes and everything, but that's for personal stuff. so that they can buy like body washes and stuff like that. And like, I think my father-in-law spent his $40 on candy and sugar, pure sugar. He just you put an IV in and let him mainline it. He was happy. But he bought like snack cakes and all sorts of stuff like that. So like I said, that's something you want to look into, because there is a, much like every other option we had, there is a cost to it. Like I said, that cost may vary too, because like when my father-in-law went in, he was on Medicaid, but once he turned 65 or 66, 68, something like that, they switched him over to Medicare. And when they switched him over to Medicare, then it changed how much the facility got paid, and then we started having to pay. And we didn't know that that was going to happen. So these are things that you want to look into so that you can be prepared on them. Make sure you understand the pricing. And if you don't, you tell them you're going to sit here and you're going to explain it to me until I understand it. That's really why they're there. And you need to make sure you have a grasp of what's going on. And in any of these options that we've discussed over the last couple of weeks, make sure that you understand, that you feel comfortable with that decision. I know you're not going to feel 100% comfortable, because you're always going to have that guilt in the back of your head. But take out that guilt feeling. Do you feel comfortable with the decision? Is this a good facility? Do I understand what the pricing is? Do I understand the services that they provide? These are all very important things. So I hope these have helped you. And I hope, Christmas is coming up, the holidays. So I hope you have a wonderful holiday, and that you and your family have a great time, and that you don't stress out too much. Remember, chuck anything you can't do. If it's not really, really important, just chuck it and have a good time. Remember, holidays are supposed to be with family and friends, to have a good time, not to stress out over and freak out. So enjoy your week. Happy holidays, and I'll see you next week. Bye-bye.